So here's part 2 of the block swap for the 18 horsepower Kohler off of this Cub Cadet right out there. I've started getting the pistons and connecting rods off of the crank. So there's one, and now I'm going to get the other one off. And then I ordered some new gaskets because these ones, even though I just put them on there, they're not really the right size. You can see there's kind of like a little bit of a gap. It's kind of for a bigger bore engine, and they kind of fell apart when I took them off, but that's no problem. So basically I'm just gonna go ahead and start reinstalling all this in the other block. Alright, so I got this thing completely gutted and everything's a little bit dirty, especially this cover. I'm not gonna give it back like that, so I gotta clean everything off and then I'll start putting it back together. Alright, so I got the crank all cleaned up in the block, and I used a straight edge or glass scraper to get the extra gasket that was left over off of it. And I used my AutoZone $15 piston ring compressor, which sucks to use because it's so hard to turn that and it just keeps spinning in your hand. But I learned if you put oil in between the layers of sheet metal, then it's easier to compress the rings. But yeah, I went ahead and got that piston in, and I'm getting ready to clean that one up and then get the ring gaps set to the right position and then put that one in too. Okay, so I got the crank assembly all put back together. It spins really nice. I torqued the connecting rod bolts in steps. First 8 foot-pounds and then second to 200 inch-pounds, which is like 16.5 foot-pounds. And now I just gotta do my power washing, get that out of the way. I think I want to do the heads too, but for that I'm basically just gonna put everything together on the old block and get it all sprayed down so it's nice and clean. Okay, so I got everything washed, and I also reinstalled the cam lifters and torqued everything to spec, and I'm just getting ready to put ultra gray around the closure plate, I think it's called, which is that over there, and start putting this thing back together. Okay, so I put the RTV on the crankcase and got it all torqued down, or finger tightened. Then I'm going to come back in an hour and torque them to spec. I also robbed these 2 bolts out of this motor because this was what was leaking originally, and torqued them down to 10 inch-pounds instead of, like, I don't know, 20 foot-pounds or something like that I had those on. But yeah, hopefully I won't see a leak with this one. I also put some RTV on the threads, enough for it to squeeze out past the actual bolt head itself. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's some RTV just kind of oozing out there. So that'll hopefully keep it sealed better. Here are the head gaskets I ordered right this time. Just looking at those compared to the ones that are on here. Completely different. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these gaskets on and the heads. Got 1-cylinder head on. I'm just gonna go up and look at the torque specs on the computer. Amazingly, this thing spins pretty easily. I ended up cleaning up the second head and I got that put on there, and basically they want you to torque it down in 2 steps. The first step is 16.6 foot-pounds, and then the second step is 30.8 foot-pounds, I believe. And of course you got your normal torque pattern. Alright, got the heads torqued down. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the push rods and rockers on. Alright, so it's pretty much all back together. Just got to get the rockers torqued down. But I'm going to go ahead and wait on that just because I want to get that plate torqued down first before I start tightening anything else. But yeah, that's part 2.